Why don't kids just listen? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we are talking about how to get kids to listen. Listening is a skill, not a personality trait. In this video, we're going to talk about common misconceptions about bad listeners, and we're going to talk about the skills that you need to teach your child in order to help them become a good listener. You can train this, you can teach this. Let's talk about how. Let's talk about some of the common misconceptions about bad listeners. I actually had a misconception at one point. I took my daughter to an ear doctor to have an ear testing done because I thought something was wrong with her hearing. Nope. Nothing was wrong with her hearing. She was totally fine with her hearing. She was just tuning me out. So sometimes we think they can't hear us. So we get louder. We might even yell the words to try to get their attention. The volume of the words isn't the biggest factor. It's actually the connection that you make with the person when you're giving instruction or when you're giving no answer, when you're wanting them to listen to you about something that makes the biggest difference. Are they looking at you? Are they actually receiving what it is that you're sending? Sometimes we send information and assume that because we sent it, it was received. And that may not be true. Another misconception about bad listeners is that some people are just good at listening. It's in their personality. Now, while some people maybe are a little bit more patient, and that might be something that they've developed or maybe even have a tendency to have because they care about listening to another person, usually even patience has to be trained, and for sure, listening skills are trained. When little children learn that they can sit and wait while somebody else talks and then share what they need to say, then that teaches a person to listen. When they also learn that when the parent comes and looks at them in the eye and is giving them a certain instruction or no answer, that they need to communicate about that, that also teaches them to listen. So this brings us to then, well, what do we do to teach them this listening skill? If you've already subscribed to this channel, then you know that self-government is heavy into pre-teaching. Pre-teaching is when you teach what a person is going to need ahead of time proactively so that in the moment when they need it, they will actually have the skill to draw from. And you can even pre-teach them in the moment what skill they will need right now. Pre-teaching is power. It's a structural thing that you can bring into your parenting, and when you use the skill pre-teaching, it helps prepare their brains to focus, to use the skills that you already taught them. It puts them in front brain, which is so incredibly powerful for them. So, what are the steps of a good pre-teaching? You tell them that a situation is coming up and that they are going to need to use a skill. You explain why they will need to use that skill. Then you explain that there is a positive consequence for using the skill. There's a negative consequence for not using the skill. And then you ask them what the steps to the skill are to make sure they really know it. Then you give them the opportunity to just have that moment and use the skill. Hopefully they'll be successful and you can go straight to praising. I call this three-step process teach, do, praise. When you calmly teach them what's expected and you trust that they'll be able to do it, and then they know the skill for how to follow instructions, accept no answers, accept consequences, disagree appropriately, which are the 4 basic skills of self-government that take care of 99% of all behavioral problems. When they know that, then they are ready to take action and do. Then they check back to you about that action. Now you're ready to praise. When you praise them, you're going to be using 3 simple steps: the what happened, why it was so good, and wow. What, why, wow. A good, effective praise. Don't just tell them they're amazing or they're a genius or these puffy things that they know aren't true. Explain what they did so that they can easily repeat it in the future. Teaching the listening skill is like any other life skill. It takes pre-teaching and it takes practice and a confident teacher to help the person along the journey. If you know that they can learn the listening skill, then they will. If I were you, I would have some conversations about listening and what makes good listening. One thing that makes good listening is having a connection. So eye contact is going to be key. You will notice that the first step of all of the 4 basic skills of self-government is to look at the person. This is to help them learn to listen to you. But if you don't take the time to make that eye contact, then they won't get the opportunity to do that listening. Another thing that's a really good idea to do is when you give instruction to have them repeat back to you what it was that they heard that they were supposed to do. If they can repeat it back to you, then you know that they're actively listening to what you have to say. So teach them about active listening and how if they repeat back and they come back later and check back when they've finished whatever it is, that shows they heard you. And it is an opportunity for them to show that they have skill mastery, to get praised, and to also show that they respect your role. Roles are a big part of listening success. If people in the family don't acknowledge or respect the roles of the family members, then the listening can fall apart. One thing you don't want to do in order to get children to listen to you is keep repeating the instruction or no answer. That's called nagging, and it will teach them not to listen the first time. If your child chooses not to listen the first time, then what you'll want to do is go to a correction. Now, hopefully, if you pre-teach your self-government skills and you pre-teach how you will praise them and correct them and pre-teach them, they will choose to be pre-taught and praised more often, and they won't choose to need as many corrections. But hey, let's face it, they're human, they're children, they're going to be corrected pretty often, maybe even daily. So prepare them to be able to accept a correction when you give them instruction or no answer and they don't do all of the steps to the skill that they need. I recently had a mentor call with a family who I had a home visit with, because occasionally I'll go to people's homes and help them learn the skills and principles of self-government at their homes. The parent said to me, well, they're listening to me because you're here, Nicholeen, but I promise you that when you leave, they are going to ignore me. They won't listen to me. You probably carry more authority in their eyes than I do, or they don't want to look bad in front of you. And I said, well, let's have a conversation afterward and see how they do at their listening skills. Keep with the script, keep with the skills. Do the corrections every time. A couple of weeks later, I had a call with the mother and she told me, Nicholeen, I kept with the skills. And you know what? They're still doing it. I just correct it every single time. I have to battle within myself that I feel like that's just really strict, and I'm not used to being strict because I was more of a modern progressive parent and didn't correct a lot of things. But what I'm seeing is we're all happier and we talk about a lot more things besides behaviors now because I just go straight to a correction if there's a problem. And most of the time I don't even have to do that. It was success because she chose to follow a formula that would back her up in the moment. Self-government is possible. These skills are possible. I'd love for you to learn more about the skills. There's a full-length class here on the channel called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. I highly recommend going to that class next. So click on the link and I'll see you there.